There's nothing better than finding your treasures from someone else's trash. Today, I'm going to share some thrift store items that I picked up, how I DIY'd them, and how I styled them. Hey there, my name is Sandra. Welcome back to the Schwowin's Nest. And if you're new to my channel, hit that red button and stick around a while. I'm doing a guest bedroom makeover, so I needed a small little ewer set to put on the washstand that I made over not too long ago. This one was the perfect color that I wanted, but it had this little red rose on either side. I'm using some chalk paint just for the first layer to just try and camouflage some of those darker colors.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher.
Then I switched over to a deeper color that would blend in a little bit better with the picture. What I'm going to do is just draw a freehand circle around the roses and then just fill that in. I'll repeat the same thing on the other side.
The night's young, and it's just begun as she puts her hand in mine. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be too.
I'm not that great at stamping onto round surfaces, so I decided to take one of these floral stamps from the Dollar Tree, stamp it onto some tissue paper, and then apply it to the picture with Mod Podge. I tried a few different flowers and I decided on this little one down at the bottom that I'm doing now. And I'm using a lighter ink. So it's a black ink, but it doesn't go on as dark as some of the ones you can see up top.
Hearts running wild.
To cut out the tissue paper for this project, I'm going really close to the stamp, just leaving a tiny little bit of white tissue paper on the exterior. And if you're looking really close, there are some leaves stamped onto this flower, and I thought I would do that. And then I decided I didn't like it. So I'm just going to be using the simple flower in the middle. First, you add some Mod Podge to your surface, making sure that that was completely dry before you start. And I like to pick up my image, especially when they're small like this, with my paintbrush. I put it in the center of the image and then just pick it up and put it where I need it to be. I did let this set up for about a half an hour before I put it onto this project because I didn't want any of the ink to smear. Now I'm just going to go over it very gently. This brush I'm using is super soft because I don't want to be tearing any of the tissue paper. Then give it a coat of Mod Podge. I really liked the look of it, but I felt like the circle itself needed a little bit of a border. So I'm just taking a permanent marker. It's a fine tip. And I started with northeast, southwest, just with some dots. And now I'm just going to fill in and just put as many dots as I feel necessary all the way around. And that's just going to frame out this little floral beautifully.
Never stop as we shout from the top. We're gonna
Once that was completely dry, I needed to put something on there that made it glossy, just like the rest of the picture. So I didn't have anything like that. So I grabbed some clear school glue. This is the Elmer school glue, and I believe I just got it at the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to very gently put some on there, and it will dry just about as glossy as the original finish on this picture. I love how this little set turned out, and it's the perfect addition to my wash stand. Thank you to Costway for sponsoring today's video. I had the opportunity to have some furniture sent to me, so I chose this chair, and it was really easy to put together. I did need my husband just for a couple things to tighten up some of these screws and to help me steady it when I was putting the back on. But other than that, I was able to do this all myself. The first step is adding these screws to the pilot holes, and you're going to put them almost all the way in, but then you'll need to put the bracket on and then tighten them up with the included tools. The same process gets repeated for the other arm of the chair. And then this will create your two arms and the front brace for the cushion. At this point, the instructions tell you to continue on with the back and the cushion, but I decided to go rogue and put the legs on first. For some reason, they have you putting the legs on at the end, and I just thought it would be so much easier to flip over the chair by myself with the legs on it now when it wasn't so heavy. To put the back in, all you need to do is lift it and then slide it into the slots that you see there. There's brackets on the arms of the chairs and then on the side of the back, and they just need to slide in. But it was proving to be a little more difficult than I thought. So I needed to call in reinforcements. Between the two of us, we were able to figure it out, but we kind of had to take turns trying to get the slot in right, but we finally managed to do it. Now it was just time to put the seat in, and I just was double checking how it needs to go in. There is some little feet there you can see at the top, and that just gets pushed down, and it was kind of sticking out a little bit. And I thought, well, why is this doing that? So I decided, well, I'm going to plop myself down on the chair and see what happens. And sure enough, that just set those little pegs right down onto the wood block that it needed to be sitting on. Costway is more than just furniture. They're based on furniture, but they go beyond. They don't just fulfill living demands, but they inspire, accompany, and delight. That's why they call themselves the home of delights. Regardless of the home and lifestyle you desire, they follow their brand philosophy. They have more delights and fresh inspirations, including but not limited to the furniture itself. From refreshing your space to refreshing your life, Costway walks you through it all. I love the look of this chair. The tufted back makes it look so beautiful. The gray velvet I wanted because I have a velvet slipcover on my sofa, and I think both of these pieces look amazing together. This chair is definitely going to be my favorite spot to hang out in my living room. Costway has been generous to give my fans 10% off their first order. Make sure you head on down to my description box and see all the details. From furniture to kitchen, appliances, baby and kids, and even pets, Costway has it all. Now let's get on to the next project. I'm going to be creating a little wreath that I'm going to be putting inside of a vintage frame. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with the frame yet, but while I'm making this wreath, I'll be thinking about it. So I'm just using a piece of grapevine garland that I picked up at Michael's a couple of years ago, and I have just been using this to create the size of wreath that I need. I just put some hot glue on the ends and then just kind of push them together, and now I'll just let it set up. I got this greenery on Amazon last year and I really love it because it's sort of airy and wispy, and so I'm just going to be taking apart each of the stems and making a very pretty, just simple wreath using that garland as my base. The reason I like to use grapevine wreaths is that you can very easily just push the ends of your stems right inside the wreath portion, and you don't have to use any hot glue to keep them in place. That means down the road, if I change my mind and I want to switch out the greenery for this, or maybe do it seasonally, I could very easily just pull all of these sprigs out and add something new to the wreath. As I was putting this in, I was thinking, I don't like how long these are and how wispy they are. You can't really control the wisp of them. You can only just bend the bottom portion. So I did start pulling some apart and cutting them and just making it a little bit more fuller in the center and not quite so long and dangly. This is the frame I'm going to use, and it's not real wood. It is sort of that material that looks like wood, but it's really not. So I don't know if it's a mold thing that manufacturers used to do back in the 60s and the 70s. But anyway, I'm going to paint it. I didn't like the wood look of it. It was just a little too dark. And the part at the top there, I thought maybe I'll do a wash. Maybe I'll just put some of the paint on and wipe it back. I didn't like that look either. So it's going to get 2 coats of white chalk paint. This was my inspiration for this project, and I'm really happy that I decided to go with the white frame. Look how beautiful the green looks against the white frame. I'm so glad I chose to do this. Now I'm just taking a piece of drop cloth and I'm just going to tie mine in a bit of a knot and make sure that that knot is kind of in the middle of where I'm going to be hanging it. I'm going to have to fuss around with this a little bit, so I'm not going to make you watch me do this whole thing, but I did decide to do a little bit of gathering at the top and in towards the center where it's hanging. I didn't want that to be quite so thick. So before I finished putting the wreath onto the frame, I decided I was going to give it just a little misting of white paint. I loved the green, but I wanted to kind of tone it down just a little wee bit. And this kind of gives it more of a not a frosted look, but kind of a lamb's ear looks, you know, that dusty kind of green. And it's just a little bit of a spray. On this side here, I got a little too much, but it's really easy to just wipe some of that back. I'm just going to use hot glue to attach the burlap to the frame. And again, as I said, I'm going to be fussing with this. I'm gluing it, and then I'm going to add some little gathers into it. And you just got to kind of play around with stuff until you get it to where you like it. This is the first time I've made a project like this, and I really love how it turned out. I might have to add more of these throughout my home. This thrift store project was something else, let me tell you. It is painted a sort of dark purple. I don't know if you can tell from the video, but wow. Anyway, I loved the bones of it. I mean, it's a really, really good, sturdy shelf, and I love the look of the pegs. So I'm just going to give it a really good cleaning. Now, this one was marked at $7.50, but I do get 20% off because I always have a coupon. I'm going to use Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the color Cocoa Bean, which I have darkened a little bit with some black because it was sort of a milk chocolate and I wanted it to be a little bit darker. I'm going to give this 2 coats because for what I need it to do, I don't want any of that purple showing through. I want to do some crackle on this. So I'm using Elmer's clear glue. I've never used this glue before for crackling, so I'm really excited to see how it turns out. And I did find that the thicker you put the glue on, the bigger the cracks are, which is something that I really wanted to do. So some of it's going to have thicker cracks and some of it's going to have thinner cracks, but I really love the look of it. So here I'm just testing it. I wanted to make sure that it was going to work the way I wanted it to. So I put a lot of paint on here because I really want it to have a good crackle. And you can see that right away it's starting. I grabbed my blow dryer to speed up the process, and wow, this is such a fun way to create some crackle, and it really turned out gorgeous. I love being able to see it appear right before your eyes. It's like magic. I continued applying the school glue just to the top of the shelf for now, and then once that was dry, I applied the parchment colored paint one more time, and then used my blow dryer just like I did with the little test spot. Now, if you want a big crackle, you've got to put a lot of paint on and only go over it once. If you want a small amount of crackle, then you just go very lightly with your coat of paint. But the more often you go over with your paint, the more it's going to disturb what the crackle is going to look like. If you look real close where I first put the paint on for this bottom section, it's already starting to crackle. And in a minute, you're going to see it crackle even more in the center. Once I grab my blow dryer, it's going to appear like magic one more time. For the front and the top portion of the shelf, I decided I didn't want that much crackle happening. I kind of wanted the rest of it to look like some of the paint was chipping and peeling and some of it was still okay. So what I did, and you can see the shiny spots, is where I applied the glue. So I just kind of went sporadically in different spots, and this is going to create a really natural chippy look. This technique was so much fun to do, and I think I'll probably try it on some other pieces in the future as well. But for now, I'm loving this shelf, and let's take a look at how I styled it. This vintage chair is absolutely gorgeous. I picked it up at the Goodwill, and you'll never guess how much I paid for it. It has so much beautiful detail to it. I just love the spindle effect. I love the round seat. It was exactly what I was looking for to put in this one corner of the bedroom. There is some damage on the seat top, as you can see. They're pretty deep grooves, but I'm going to make this look like it was worn away. So I've got some 180 grit sandpaper. I'm going to go around in a circle, and I'm going to wear away the finish so it looks like it's just been worn away naturally. Now I'm just going to take a damp cloth and clean up all of that sawdust. And once that's dry, I'll go over it with a 400 grit sandpaper, and that will just smooth out any of the roughness. Now it just looks like it's been naturally worn away from heavy use. This is going to sit beautifully in this one corner, and this is how I styled it. And oh, by the way, this chair cost me $2.99. Oh my gosh, what a steal. And there you have it. Some thrift store finds that were really cheap, created into beautiful home decor with a little bit of a French country vibe, or maybe even a little bit farmhouse. Thanks again to Costway for sending me this gorgeous velvet chair. I'm going to be looking forward to using it all the time. Thanks so much to all of my current subscribers. I really love you guys, and I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.